Alright, so today I'd like to get into the next segment of my alignment series titled, What is Chaotic Good? Now, the reason why I chose to go over this alignment next, right after Lawful Evil, is because I believe Chaotic Good is a very misunderstood and misinterpreted alignment. So I'd just like to start by going over, again, my interpretation of the law and chaos and good and evil axis. When you look at chaos, when I look at chaos, I see a dismissal of order, structure, in many cases rules and regulations, and I see someone who has a wish to live exclusively on their whims, but not necessarily an outright, a default obligation to oppose and obstruct anyone else's need for law. Now that goes into good, neutral, and evil. So when you have a chaotic good person, you have a person who is very willing to let others live by law if they so choose. Chaotic good is easily argued as the most tolerant alignment, but you also understand that while you yourself do not respect laws to the point in which you find them necessary, you do understand that there are instances where to obey them is not only to your benefit but to the benefit of others, and that is a difference that you will have as a chaotic good character from other chaotic alignments. Is the benefit, well-being, or freedom of others is something you will take into account. This is where I go into the misinterpretation of chaotic good. Being chaotic good doesn't warrant the dismissal of good because you are chaotic. That defeats the purpose of having a dual axis there on the alignment scale. To be good is to be good, and you will consider others within your scope of what you find ethical. That's where the law and chaos comes into play. So as a chaotic person, you will see that you're only going to really follow a law if it is beneficial to you and beneficial to others involved. And you will also, as a chaotic good person, only break a law or disregard rules or exact disarray of some sort if it will not come to the foreseeable harm of those who do not deserve it. You're not going to steal from a shop of someone who could perceivably be struggling because they're a basic shopkeep and they need the income from their supplies to make ends meet, whereas you would be more inclined to steal from the very abrasive and pompous noble who could more than get away with not noticing a couple hundred gold pieces missing. And so when you think about your consequences as a chaotic good person, you do think about how it will affect others and whether or not they deserve it. To dismiss those things is more of an action of a chaotic neutral person or a chaotic evil person. And when you think of your actions, you will think of your actions as whether or not it will produce both a short-term and a long-term good. If you're going to steal from an evil tax baron, classical case Robin Hood, you're also going to want to consider on the long term, unless of course your character has low mental stats, whether or not your actions will cause such an individual to seek punishment upon others, because at that point, even in the long run, your freedoms encroached on the freedoms and peace of others. So these are things that you need to think about because you're a good person, because other people matter, because what is peace and what is good and what is prosperity in the land matter to you. If you don't want to think about these things, play chaotic neutral. Or if your DM will allow a chaotic evil, and I'll go into the pros and cons of that later on. But if you're chaotic good, you have an obligation to think about the well-being of others, because that's what good people do. If all you think about is yourself, you're neutral. Or if you come first to the point in which you will dismiss others, you're not willing to go out of your way for others, but you'll help people if it's not too much trouble, you're not good aligned, you're neutral aligned. Good people go out of their way for others. Good people do good for good's sake. Now, if you're not perceiving chaotic good to be these things, then it is hopefully to your benefit that your DM agrees with you and not me. Because if you're going to sit at my table, I don't care if you're lawful good, neutral good, or chaotic good. You will have a obligation to go out of your way to help others. A chaotic good person will not accept payment for a task where someone needs the help. If you have a rich noble who could obviously afford to pay you, you're going to have no qualms about that. But if you have somebody who even looks like the money would be noticed, it's not even going to hurt them. The money would be noticeably gone. You have the town mayor of a struggling economy because they're having to pay taxes to a dragon. You're not going to accept that. Not because it is not chaotic to do so, but because it is not good to do so. I can't emphasize that chaos has no effect on good whatsoever enough. If you are chaotic good, you look at two things in equal degree: freedom and good. Just as with lawful people, order and structure are paramount to them, regardless of whether they are good, neutral, or evil. They'll have their motives for it, but just with chaos, freedom has a motive to you, and your motives for being chaotic will base on whether you are good, neutral, or evil, but good, neutral, and evil will still be that. And so, if you're playing at my table, you will not be committing neutral to evil acts on a consistent basis, or even on a recognizable or noteworthy basis if you're going to be a chaotic good character. You have to be able to say good means good, and chaos simply means that rules and regulations don't mean a whole lot to me so long as I'm not hurting someone else. That is my interpretation of chaotic good. And if you agree with me, then I'm glad. If not, you're entitled to think otherwise. It's a tabletop RPG. At the end of the day, I've had DMs and other players that disagreed with me, and I let it slide, because it's just a game, and you need to be able to have fun. It's not an issue so big that it's going to cause issues, unless, of course, somebody's using it to directly disrupt the plot. So I hope you found this video informative. If you did, please subscribe. I will be doing more as I come. I just got back from a moving situation, so I should hopefully be posting videos a lot more frequently. Until that next time, happy adventures, people.